It's a case that has made headlines across India. The story of a 24-year-old woman, Hadia, who converted to Islam and got married only to have the marriage annulled by the Kerala High Court in May this year because her father said that she had been forced into it. Her father also accused the husband of belonging to ISIS. Today, the Supreme Court directed that Hadia should be produced before the court on the 27th of November to see if she had married out of her own free will. The National Investigation Agency, which has jumped into this case, told the court, however, that there is a wider angle of love jihad in this, in which women are being radicalized. However, the Chief Justice of India said that even if it were true, why can't a major girl fall in love with a criminal?
അച്ഛനും അമ്മയ്ക്കും പോകുമ്പോൾ ആവശ്യത്തിലൊക്കെ നിസ്കരിക്കുമ്പോൾ വഴക്ക് പറയാറുണ്ടോ ഇല്ലയോ എന്ന് ചോദിക്കും.
24-year-old Hadia in this recent video alleging mistreatment by her own father and a threat to her life, which he denies.
Bring Hadia here. She's 24 and her consent as an adult is prime. And only she can explain if her marriage with a Muslim boy in December 2016 was a forced one or one out of consent and sheer love. That's what the Supreme Court said in the controversial Kerala conversion case and has now asked the father of the girl to bring her in an open court on November 27th.
Hadia's husband, Shafeen Jahan, moved the Supreme Court after the Kerala High Court annulled their marriage in May and sent Hadia back to her parents. Hadia's father claimed she had been forcefully converted to Islam, changing her name from Akhila to Hadia. He accused Shafeen of having links with ISIS. Their marriage has become the subject of an investigation by the National Investigation Agency, or the NIA, which today told the Supreme Court that there was a wider angle of love jihad, that the marriage was a form of recruitment by ISIS that is gaining currency in Kerala. The NIA said there was a well-oiled machinery working in the state and they are indulging in the indoctrination and radicalization of society in the state, where as many as 89 cases of similar nature have been reported.
കോടതിയുടെ ഒരു ഇത് വന്നപ്പോൾ നമ്മളുള്ള കാര്യം തുറന്നു പറയും, നമ്മൾ മറച്ചു വെക്കേണ്ട കാര്യങ്ങളില്ല. കോടതി അംഗീകരിക്കുന്നവനാണ്. കോടതി എന്ത് പറഞ്ഞാലും നമ്മൾ അംഗീകരിക്കും.
Earlier this month, the Kerala government told the Supreme Court that the police had conducted a thorough investigation into Hadia's conversion and marriage and did not find any merit for the involvement of the NIA.
The NIA investigation is revealing a pattern, a very organized manner, well-oiled machinery in which psychologists are also there. It's almost a psychological indoctrination.
In court, the NIA said it was impossible for the girl to willingly marry a Muslim boy, and techniques like psychological kidnapping and hypnosis were used to brainwash her. Now her testimony in open court will hold the key and will either debunk or reinstate NIA's theory of forced conversion or love jihad. In New Delhi, Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor, NDTV.
And so this young woman will now be presented before the court on the 27th of November, and the judges will determine whether she actually married of her own free will. This is an incredible case for many reasons. It has certainly huge political connotations to it because of this entire love jihad campaign that the BJP and the RSS keep talking about on one hand, but it's also raised certain fundamental issues about a woman's freedom. Here is an adult woman who has made a choice, and even courts in this country feel the need to interfere in the decisions that she has made, and she's now virtually captive as she is right now at her parents' home. Ejaz Elmi, member of the BJP, joining us tonight. Professor Rakesh Sinha of the RSS. Farah Naqvi, writer and activist, here in the studio with us. Sadia Delvi, columnist, joining us tonight. And Fawad Halim, spokesperson of the CPM, also joining us this evening. Farah Naqvi, let me take the first question to you then. What are the questions that you believe that this case has raised? I just listed out some of those that come to my mind, but what is the most fundamental issue here as far as you're concerned?
A woman's right to choose. A woman's right to choose her partner when she is a major. She is 24 years old. It is staggering to me that thus far we have had the police in action, we have had the Kerala High Court, we have had RSS cadres, we've had the Supreme Court, we've even had her husband. And this woman is not been allowed to speak for herself. Women's groups in Kerala tried very hard to get access to her. They could not. The State Commission for Women's Rights in Kerala was called into action. To me, this is clearly, it is of a piece with, say, honor killings. It is patriarchy, paternal rights over a woman's right to choose being re-established, and of course the icing on the cake that it also includes fear-mongering against Muslims. because that is clearly the core of the problem here. But it's really an absurd in a modern day society. This kind of a case becomes an embarrassment. You know, we don't even allow ourselves to pay lip service to women's empowerment. If this is the kind of control we seek to exercise over a 24-year-old woman's right to choose, it doesn't matter who she chooses. It doesn't matter how she chooses. She chooses, and she has said she wanted to be with this man. And you know, to counter Hadia's case, there was a young Buddhist woman, Stanzin, who wrote a beautiful piece in the Indian Express just last month. She again was being called love jihad because she again had the temerity to fall in love with a Muslim man. I mean, is that not acceptable in this country anymore? In other words, interfaith marriages will no longer be acceptable, and I have many interfaith marriages that I would like to question and say, well, is all this part of love jihad? But you know, I want to just read you one line from Stanzin's article in September in the Indian Express. My personal decision to marry a Muslim man is being used to fuel communal tension across Ladakh, she wrote. While communal passions fueled against the entire Muslim community, which had nothing to do with my personal decision, no one wanted to check with me. No one asked me my views, as if I don't matter in this game of misogyny being played in my name. It was a powerful piece, and she said, back off people, this is my right to choose. So I believe this is a woman's issue, it is a women's rights issue, and it is ultimately about women's right to choose in India who they marry.
Very well said, Farah. And Professor Sinha, how do you then react to what the Chief Justice of India said when the NIA said, well, you know, this man may have terror links, and then the Chief Justice of India said in court that, well, so what if she chooses to marry a criminal? If that is what an adult woman wants to do. That's essentially fundamentally what Farah is raising as well.
Nobody can question any adult's right to choose his or her husband or wife. Anyone has right. And I am not against the interfaith marriages. In fact, you just see my ideological family, there are a number of leaders who have gone for the interfaith marriage. This is not under the question or contestation. The contestation is the pattern which Nalin Kohli was pointing out, giving his bite. The pattern which NIA has pointed out. The pattern which CPM leader Kodiyari Balakrishnan wrote in Desabhimani, CPM's mouthpiece in 2010. The pattern which was pointed out by the then Chief Minister of Kerala, Sri Achyutanandan, in Kerala while addressing the press conference. The pattern which Christian organizations have pointed out. So I am not talking about the interfaith marriage. There can be hundreds of interfaith marriages. Rather, it should be encouraged. But taking the clue from Farhas, then modernity has new dimension. Recruitment to ISIS, radicalization of the young ladies. They are also become the part of modernity. Nidhi, I have two quick points here. First thing is that in Kerala there is an impact of the petrodollar. And I cannot bracket all the cases as the love jihad. There can be, जैसे कहते हैं जौ के साथ घुन पिस जाता है.
What is love jihad? Firstly, I want to understand what is this term.
I'm telling you.
Because I actually find it very offensive.
Yes, I'm telling you. It's the most unfortunate point. It may be. Let me complete me. IMC has asked me. It is a most unfortunate coinage.
No, let me answer. I'm answering. This is not a comment. Nidhi, I have gone through I am doing work on demography, and fortunately I was reading the 1901 census report of Bengal. They have collected 46 cases in the United Bengal. Bihar and Odisha was part of the Bengal. 46 cases where women were converted in the name of love. So this is a pattern in Islam. This is a let me.
Firstly, you're assuming
this
that
is a pattern. Islamization.
A pattern in Islam. I'm really
sorry.
This is not a pattern in Islam.
I have to complete my point. Then you contest.
No, but you're being so
don't be offensive. Don't get offended.
No, because you're being very offensive.
It is a democracy. Let me complete. Don't be intolerant. Two things. One, this is a group of Islamists are trying to use the petrodollar, use the conspiracy. You know, in Kerala there are various NGOs working, and in the name of interfaith marriages, they are luring the young Hindu women just for recruiting. 22 recruitment from Kerala in ISIS. They are being sent to Syria, and you welcome. Then one last point. Then in Kashmir, the adults when take the arms in their hand, आप कहते हो भटके हुए हैं. वो तो एडल्ट भटके जाते हैं, यहाँ एडल्ट नहीं भटकता है। डोंट यूज टू लॉजिक्स। वहां अगर एडल्ट आर्म्स उठाता कहते भटक गए हैं, उनको माफ कर दो। यहाँ एडल्ट, बिकॉज पेरेंट्स हैव देयर कंसर्न, एंड यू नो द नंबर ऑफ पेरेंट्स आर गोइंग टू द कोर्ट, अप्रोचिंग द कोर्ट, because this is aggression against the Hindus and Christians in Kerala, not by the Muslims, by pro-ISIS elements. That is a popular front of India, and now CPM is the latest lie. In the post-Achyutanandan,
okay, one second.
now new CPM
Mr.
is
Halim,
ally
let
of
me
the
ask you
PFI.
about this, because what the RSS is now saying is that this isn't about interfaith marriages. This is this national security issue. This is about ISIS trying to IS trying to recruit people and take them to Syria. Whereas what I find astounding in this case is you actually had the Kerala police saying that there is no terror link here, there is no forced conversion link here, and that they didn't feel the need for the NIA to step in at all. And yet you have the NIA which does step into it, and pardon me for saying so, they do work under the central government. But Mr. Halim, how do you respond to what Mr. Sinha is saying?
Well, there are two things. I think so, more than what I respond to, I think so, one is to understand how the Supreme Court has responded to the RSS and the BJP's claim and understanding as to what is happening there in Kerala and other places of India. One has to be very clear. The Supreme Court has categorically said that the girl in question has to appear and she has to definitely voice her own opinion on this matter. And I think so that underlines something very significantly. And that significant issue is that an individual's consent in taking a decision regarding his or her own marriage is paramount to the Supreme Court. Now, we do know there is a background of communal tensions that are being escalated by the RSS and the Bharatiya Janata Party, and every case, even issues of marriage, they would like to escalate to that end. One has to keep in mind that recently the previous observation of the courts that came in, they said every individual issue cannot be escalated.
I had put up a question.
Communal
Kodyari, Balakrishnan, Achyutanandan have made their points. Kindly answer. Your own party leaders have raised the issue in 2010.
I know you want to interfere in marriages also, but at least on screen allow us to complete our conversation. So the courts have definitely very categorically been critical of this opinion of the Bharatiya Janata Party and the RSS. The government, unfortunately, including the central government, doesn't seem to be understanding that the courts are at variance with their opinion. You know, individual territory is a place where people have their rights to what you call make their choices. But we see here the government is trying to intervene in this private space and give it escalate it to a communal what you call landscape. So one has to keep in mind very clearly, and I think so we are fortunate that the judiciary up to now has taken cognizance that there is interference in the private space. They have laid down the ground rules very clearly that the girl in concern has to come and voice herself. Which I think so.
Nidhi asked him, he had not answered. He had not answered. Achyutanandan had raised the question.
Please, let me first come to the other panelists. Let me first come to the other panelists. I don't want to shout. We have a lot of time to talk about this. Mr. Halim, 1 second. Ejaz, is that what this has become about? It's essentially about politics. It's about creating this whole frenzy around so-called love jihad. Firstly, don't you find that term offensive?
You know, actually, you can only have a love marriage and that could be a love only. But if it goes on to Syria and ISIS and somebody uses that for extrapolation and exploitation and those elements come in, then definitely it can't be termed as a love marriage. Marriage between two consenting adults mutually is definitely something that has validity in the Constitution and sanctioned in the Supreme Court, and no court can speak against it or annul. Even the annulment of a marriage between two consenting adults can't be annulled. Which is why the Supreme Court is looking at it. It's important to understand if there are elements, as my colleague Nalin spoke about, a pattern and stuff like that. Why are we talking about? Why is the NI in this picture?
Why has the Supreme Court asked
why is the NI in the picture? Why is the NI in the picture? Are the elements of political Islamic jihadism functioning in cases in Kerala? You want to marry girls of your own free will, you're free to do it.
She's 24-year-old.
Yes, why not?
She's a woman.
You're free to marry. It gives you constitutional legal sanction. But should that same love marriage be converted into a scenario where there's radicalization and the girl you marry will be used and to send to ISIS? That is where the problem is. I don't know my sisters who can marry who they feel like getting sent to ISIS.
Ejaz, do you find this term love jihad offensive or not was a question. You've dodged the answer. You clearly find it acceptable. Okay.
Don't speak for me. Don't speak
No,
for me.
I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question.
Either ask me a question or
Is love jihad as a term somehow acceptable to you?
Interfaith, interreligious marriages is the norm in this country. We have a Special Marriages Act, and you're free to marry consenting adults. It has legal protection.
You're still not answering my question. The
But
point is
that
for me, jihad as perceived politically is something that if you use love itself and try and convert it into ISIS in Syria and exploit a girl, that would be a jihad. That would be jihad.
But okay, so Sadia, I hear you saying that you believe
Ijaz,
that
you
this is all
actually believe
politics.
this is about the ISIS?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not the NIA. I want the NIA to give answers on this.
I can't agree with Farah. I think she said it all.
In this case, let there be an answer.
Okay, Sadia, go ahead. Finish your point.
Yeah, I'm saying I could not agree with Farah more. I mean, she's really put it all out there. This is essentially about a woman's right to choose her faith and her husband. And in this particular case, I think we have enough evidence, and we'll be sure when she testifies, that this is all politically motivated. And let's not forget, love jihad is an extremely false narrative that was created by the RSS and the right-wingers, and it was used, particularly during the election. This is part of the stereotyping, creating the fear of the Muslim, love jihad, they marry many times, they are cow killers, they produce more children. This is all part of a false propaganda that has been very, consistently been propagated, and to turn Muslims into the other. I mean, this is so, what is love jihad? I mean, for God's sake, we're talking about consenting adults here, and people have to have the right to choose. India is a country where people are so many faiths live. There are so many Hindu men who are marrying Muslim women. It also works the other way around.
But
nobody
the
is making
seems
a
to be
hue and cry
particularly
about
if
it.
a Hindu
So
woman
in
wants
a
to marry
country
a
like
Muslim
India,
man,
this is
Professor
bound to
Sinha.
happen.
Why does
and
the
it's
Sangh Parivar so
very,
angry?
very politically motivated. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Don't confine the narrative to the Sangh Parivar.
This kind of,
this
the NIA coming in, and it's
Sadia,
one second. But let Professor Sinha answer this particular point.
This is a larger issue. This is a sociological issue, and I consider that
sociological.
Yeah, this is sociological. Marriage is a very sensitive thing. When I organize,
it's nobody's business except the people who are getting married.
Yes.
No, it may be for you, but in our Indian society, family has business, community has business.
Community and family is exactly what I.
आप मुझे complete करने दीजिए ना. You contest.
नहीं आप ये point को support करने हैं कि ये traditionalism और community और family के नाम पर ये जो verdict हुआ है, this verdict, I mean, a girl aged 24 is weak and vulnerable, capable of being exploited.
I think I am really surprised that moderates and the so-called progressives are now supporting the PFI. They are exactly taking the position which Popular Front of India is taking, and CPM person has not responded. If it is the RSS issue, Achyutanandan belongs to RSS.
Can I respond?
Mr. Kodiyari Balakrishnan belongs to RSS. Kodiyari Balakrishnan, in his name, wrote an article in Desabhimani, CPM's mouthpiece. And this Chief Minister, Achyutanandan in Delhi, said the Islamization of Kerala in 20 years.